Good to have you join us on today's broadcast on This Morning on ITV. Well, it's always important that we x-ray the policies of government and see how we can better the lot for the people. Looking at the aspect of ameliorating the plights of Nigerians generally. But our attention will be shifting on subnational government, Edo State, in perspective from the Benin Network Center, where we're going to be looking at the ahead of the 100, no, not really 100 days, ahead of the first year in office of the governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo. Well, what has been his approach to leadership? What has been his style? And what has been his grassroots interventions in making sure that governance, transforms the lives of the people is what we're about. Well, we can't but also make some comparative study with the previous administration. A lot again will also look into, like the aspect of digital revenue collection that was emphasized by the previous administration of the former governor of Edo State, Godwin Ogasio Obaseki. And of course, what is the emphasis of the current governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, as compared to that of the previous on digital collection of revenue? Well, you agree with me that a lot has to do with, in terms of having less interaction, human-to-human interaction, when it comes to digital. And of course, there are some certain benefits that comes with it. But how can we position the present administration in that regard? Again, we also take a toll or a dive on infrastructural developments. Of course, key areas, road construction, rehabilitation, or reconstruction will also be a vital part. And what is the very, very unique style or very, very unique project or infrastructure that we can identify with Senator Monday Okpebholo? All of this will be what we're going to be looking at. But, well, let's quickly turn our attention to Lagos, where Joshua is standing by. Good morning, Joshua. Good to see you today once more on TMI.
Good morning, my dear brother Philip. It's good to have you always on the show from our Lagos Network studio. And of course, I am being joined by my co-anchor, the person of Patricia Gabriel-Spat.
Good morning, Josh, and good morning, Philip. Thank you for joining us on TMI this morning.
Well, thank you. Thank you to see you, Joshua and Patricia. Well, it shows you are tidy and ready to kickstart what you've got for us from the Lagos perspective. But again, let's put our minds or our voices into the aspect of the first year in office of Senator Monday Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State, as we are fast approaching it. Of course, we can't but forget, the elections that threw up his emergence as governor-elect and eventual inauguration on November 12th. And so there's a speedy pace towards November 12th as we witness the clocking of the governor in the person of Senator Monday Okpebholo first year in office. So what do you have to say? Can you give us a bite?
Of course, it's very imperative for us to have what we call a review of his performance in the last few years of his being in office, because come to look at it, governance is more important at this time as regards politics. And looking at the fact that, as you said, his emergence into office as the governor of Edo State was somewhat, filled with mixed reactions, especially looking at the litigations here and there, until, of course, finally the verdict was given where he won that election clean and clear. And given the fact that he has swung into action, we need to see what he has done thus far to be able to give the people of Edo State that impetus to believe that in the next few years that will wrap up his first tenure in office will be something that will be remarkable. So it's, of course, a good one for us to take a step back and review what he has done thus far to see how much impact in terms of governance that the people has felt, not just about politics.
Beautiful bite, I must say. Well, we will be having all of this as the show progresses, most especially when we have to feel the pulse of governance, looking at the policies of government and how it affects the people. You know, we always say this, you know, the role of the federal government is key. But again, a lot again has improved in terms of revenue allocation to subnational governments. And so we'll also be putting our spotlight on the aspect of the increased revenue allocation in Edo State, and of course what the governor is doing about it. Just recently, the governor received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the NUT yesterday, and still basking in the celebration or vision of that. A lot again has been spoken of in terms of a boost in the employment at the educational sector, where 5,000 teachers were employed. You know, that speaks a whole lot. That speaks a whole lot. And of course, we also look at the promise again of the governor saying that there's going to be an intrusion of additional 3,000. That speaks a whole lot again. Well, much we could say about Senator Monday Okpebholo administration as the governor of Edo State. Well, we'll take a short break. And after which, we're going to be looking at the mood of the nation for today through the pages of the newspaper. Don't you go away. me once more on This Morning on ITV. We're going to be looking at the pages of the newspaper, and our first paper to look at will be on the screen shortly. On the pages of the newspaper, let's put it first on the screen, which is the Daily Trust. And of course, we have it on the Daily Trust. It says, Senate proposes mandatory electronic transmission of results. Well, again, if you ask me, this was where we were when huge promises were made as regards electronic transmission of results in the 2022 amendment of the Electoral Act. And of course, we're seeing this again. We just hope that this is not going to, rob the minds of Nigerians or the electorate of promises that will not be met. Okay, this says, how I lost 8 relatives to Niger tanker explosion. That was quite a very sad incident. Scooping fuel from accidented tankers is quite dangerous, and it's important that we desist from such ignominious act. Well, that's what we have on the Daily Trust. Let's see the next on the screen. Yeah, we've got the Guardian newspaper, and of course it comes with an array of headlines, which starts with Federal Government begins public finance reforms ahead of new tax regime in January. You get it on page 6. Well, every day comes with this wahala or headache. January 2026, it's not going to be funny anyways when it comes to the finance reforms and of course the new tax regime. Obviously, they say gravity doesn't affect that, because if it does, it then means that things will go down or come down. But the otherwise is the case, as the prices of commodities and of course will continue to rise. But when can we have some respite in having the force of gravity taking a toll on all of this? The new tax regime in January, that's quite intriguing. Minds are there, very, very boggling on what the surprise is going to be like. You can see the president, the #1 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, giving us a very stern look on the cover page of the Guardian newspaper. All right, this says Northern leaders back Tinubu as opposition cautions APC alleges attacks. You get that still on page 6. And of course, this says Kano lists Sanwo-Olu, Wike, Umahi, Malami, and others as witnesses in terrorism trial. Interesting, you may say. All right, it says Nigeria won't accept any deportees from the U.S. Toga insists. All right, so that's another issue to really talk about. Federal government releases 32.9 billion naira to PHCs as communities to track spending. And of course, we have this. It says, what more again? It says Senate silent on early voting, shifts electoral burden of proof to INEC. You get it on page 3. Federal government raises concerns over crude supply to refineries, gas flaring. And ASU continues negotiations, suspends 2-week warning strike. Well, this quite very, very interesting, and we may call it a development anyways in the academic sector, where ASU suspended its 2-week warning strike. Well, they will always say is suspended and not nothing more, because there's a promise by the leadership that if the government fails to meet its demands as expected, 1 month later they could come up again. You can't predict what date that would be. Well, and that's what we have on the Guardian newspaper. Let's go to the next on the pages of the newspaper, which is the Nation's newspaper. What we have on the Nation's newspaper says federal government moves to reform revenue collection, pricing of services. Well, that's quite huge. And let's go to the very top of the cover page, where we have this. Says Kano lists governors, ministers, military chiefs as witnesses. And of course, on the foreign side, it says the foreign portfolios triple to 1.8 trillion naira, all-time high in the third quarter. And how House of Reps open probe into Abuja's $40 million CCTV contract. Of course, you get more on this police exit contributory pension scheme and many more. Let's see this. It says how Yakubu's innovations ensured credible 2023 polls by IPAC chair. Don't panic over DSS terror alert. Ondo Kogi tells residents. Many more there you can fetch on the pages of the newspaper, precisely The Nations. Well, let's get the last but not the least on the pages of the newspaper. Hitting the screen and you get it. The Punch newspaper has that to say. What we have on the Punch, Southwest, North Central states on high alert, and Sanwo-Olu, Monarch Hill, Oyembaji at road inauguration. Well, just get copies of the dailies and of course internalize on that. Well, let's take a look at ISWAP threat on this. ISWAP threat on West, Southwest, North Central states on high alert. And that shows a lot that needs to be done in terms of tackling insecurity. And this says pushes INEC to defend election results. Tinubu swears in Mupitan today. Quite remarkable. Today, you get that on page 2 and page 41 as the president swears in Mupitan SCN as the new INEC chair. Well, that comes with a lot of promises. Let's see how that will basically, transform our electoral process, because if we don't get it right in elections, tell me, what can we speak of in terms of having a virile government that will help to ameliorate the plight of Nigerians? You take away the people from a country, from a nation, or from a government, then there isn't point having a government. But let's look at the need for us to have a government, where we can zero back to the days where Thomas Hobbes could say a chaotic lifestyle where there is no government, a barbaric lifestyle. And for us not to have that, there's need for the government to be instituted. But when we have a government instituted and then we still begin to see issues that seem to mimic the otherwise, what will the people say? Well, that's about what we can take on the pages of the newspaper as we x-ray aspects of governance of Senator Monday Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State. We take our minds back to the days prior to the elections and, of course, the campaigns that transpired. It was really turbulent. The elections of September 21, he emerged strong as the governor-elect and inaugurated November 12. And so November 12 is a date, a very key date, that marks 1 year in office of the governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, the governor of Edo State. And also, it's another key date that starts another run towards 2 years in office. So what can we say about all of this will be what we'll be looking at shortly. But we take a short break. I already have my guests ready to hit the ground running, as some will say, on this. We'll take a short break.
Waiting they happen.
Quite interesting as we feel the pulse of Edo State government under the governor of Edo State, Senator Mondo Okpebholo. As we approach first year in office, of course, what threw him up as the governor-elect in the September 21 elections that were highly contested, has brought him strong on governance, making sure that he, sits behind the wheel and drive governance policies in Edo State in order to ameliorate the plight of the citizenry in the state. And of course, joining me as we highlight and look into what has been done so far in terms of his leadership style, and of course all that he brought to bear in the first year in office as we approach that November 12th. In the studio I have with me the former SSA to the governor of Edo State on youth and community development, Collins Amadino Sarai. Big thanks for coming.
Philip, good morning. Thank you for having me. Viewers at home, good morning to all of you.
And of course, we also will be joined via Zoom from Owerri and the PDP Publicity Secretary Edo State Chapter, Barrister Daniel Ogbegie. Good morning, Daniel Osa Ogbegie. Well, I hope he joins shortly as we look into discussions in this regard. Well, let's quickly take our attentions to what has transpired so far. Well, it's one thing for us to say we have a governor. It's another thing for us to say what is his style of administration. So far, as we hit 1 year in office, Collins, what do you see as the style and approach of the governor of Edo State to leadership?
Yeah, thank you very much. The obvious thing about the governor that everyone already knows is the fact that this is a government that is people-driven, party-driven, locally driven, and a government that is coherent, calm, and performing at its pace, and at the pace of Edo-like expectation. The governor is not the type that believe his administration must be over media hype, but however, focused on delivering good governance through consultation. And that he has been doing. Like when you talk about party governance, for example. Before now, you've had systems where governors come. In most cases, they don't make references even to party. Party don't even do nominations. But also, there is more to also look into anyway to those who now manages party. When governor make recommendations or through them, okay, through the party, recommendations will come. How do they go about it? Do they get it to the needed people? Or still, it come through the list of the party, do the party do the needful? Probably a question for another day. But however, the Okpebholo administration we are seeing today is focused, delivering good governance, delivering infrastructure, delivering human capacity to as many, creating employment, and still doing more at all levels. In the area of security, he has done as much as is expected and still wishing to do more by his agenda that he has prepared, creating an atmosphere of peace in governance between the legislature and also the executive, to which can help in a smooth running of governance. You take your part, I take my part, do my part as I'm expected. And that is why you have seen smooth leadership, smooth governance going on in the state. And behold, we expect as we move into the dry season, because he came at a time where there were a lot of deficit, however, whether on the grounds of some uncompleted projects that he has to face, go over it all over, and he's doing well completing them. Okay. And the level of employment, you saw so many high cry at the level of teachers. Different schools had cry that there were no teachers, and even the few they had were not even permanent. Okay, and he came and started in permanent.
Okay, let's rest on what you just said, because there are a lot we can quiz in that respect. Just yesterday, I received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the NUT, celebrating him, in terms of his achievement in the education sector. although we also heard about reports of 5,000 teachers being employed.
Sure.
And of course, he also spoke about an additional 3,000 that will be coming. How feasible is that?
Yes, it's feasible.
As in the number.
Yes.
We have 5,000.
Now,
though we can't critically look at the numbers, but how feasible is that?
We can critically look at the number. Do you know why? Because all of these things are empirical. If the governor says, I have employed 5,000 teachers, that means the well-being of paying those people will reflect. You can't say you have employed 5,000 and they are not there. There were teachers before this additional. You know, so if you multiply those teachers, you know, we have high numbers of schools and they have all been deficit where you have one teacher taking 5 courses. Even the courses he never went through, he's not using AI to teach students. You were never taught. So all of those were deficits that came in and he's trying to cover. Having 8,000 teachers, for example, when government are sincere or leadership are sincere, all of these things are not too much of burden. Agreeably, there are physical projects and capital projects still to embark on. Because even when we talk about paying teachers, for example, they are all recurrent.
Okay.
They all boil into recurrent.
Okay.
We know that the velocity and the volume for capital projects are high because of the demand. Okay. Like you see, the governor have gone about building bridges, flyovers, and what have you. Those are real capital projects.
Rest your breath. Rest your breath. We're going to take it one after the other.
Okay.
You know, empirically, we put our spotlight on the 5,000. You know, 5,000 teachers. Of course, that's a big one to do. well, let's get to you, Barrister Dan Ogbegia, who is joining us via Zoom from Owerri. Dan Ogbegia is the Publicity Secretary of the PDP Edo State Chapter. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Philip. If you can hear me, please just raise up your hand if you can see or hear me. I don't know if you can hear me from there.
All right. We will take a short break. Do stay. This morning on ITV. Well, let's go over to you, Daniel. A lot has been said concerning the governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, who will be hitting 1 year in office come November 12. We all saw what transpired in the election and how he victoriously emerged as the governor of Edo State. But what do you have to say as regards the style of his administration so far? Because a lot has been said about his doggedness in leadership. And of course, just yesterday, he received a Life Achievement Award from the NUT, which speaks volumes about, you know, his doggedness and, of course, his achievement so far in just approaching first year in office. 5,000 teachers employed. And, of course, he said he's still in the offing. Extra 3,000 teachers. This quite gracious. What do you have to say?
Yeah. Well, I don't see what's gracious about that. It's just self-hyping. He employed 5,000 teachers. After putting a stop to the over 5,000 teachers that were employed by the previous government, after a robust exercise that took a few months. So I don't see what the hype is just all about. So why put a stop to a process that was already completed by the previous government? What I believe Monday Okpebholo does not understand is that he doesn't know that government is continuous. You continue from where the previous government stops, you move on from there. So I don't see the Makeba dance. I don't see what the Makeba dance is really all about the 5,000 teachers that were employed, when these same 5,000 teachers were already employed by the previous government. Then again, when you talk about, when you take giving him an award, we'll wait till, government of other African countries start commenting what he's doing in the education sector.
Well, Barrister Daniel, you spoke about the previous administration already employing the ones that he employed. Is that what you mean? Or were they on contract basis earlier?
No, I said they were employed, and the process of the employment stopped around August. So there were new teachers coming in. Then there were the ones that were talking, those star teachers that were also there, that were being integrated into the education sector as permanent staff. So it is some of these people, a few others that they've now added to make up the 5,000 that they are dancing about everywhere, trying to beguile Edo people. So that's why we must first look at them.
Barrister Daniel, you still have the floor. If you are to look at the joy, being brought up by this celebration from the teachers that were employed, I don't think you'll be saying this, because this shows a whole lot as compared to the gap that we had by the previous administration in respect of employment, because reports have it that they were on contract basis, but this time around he is putting them full-scale employed as teachers. And doesn't that also speak of some achievement
employed before Okpebholo was sworn in? They were not at the time. Yeah, I said they were already employed before Okpebholo was sworn in November last year. There were a few who were on contract, and they were called the Edo Star. Those that were integrated with the new personnel that were employed in August or September last year. So when Okpebholo came, he just simply put a stop to it. That's what he did. So what is it not dancing about? That's what we don't understand. We have to make Okpebholo know that government is a serious business. If he's not serious about government, he should simply step aside. Or if the shoe is too big for him, he should simply step aside. The other time your guest in the studio was saying that Okpebholo was focused on the people. It was people-centered. They also mentioned that he was political party driven. The only thing I accepted that, yes, I agree, that Monday Okpebholo is political party driven. He's all about his political party. And when you talk about his political party, he's all about his godfathers. The same people he swore that he was going to serve. If you saw a video during the campaign, he swore if elected as governor, if he does not serve the godfathers, these are the people he's serving in his government. And that is what is happening. There's no impact of government on the ordinary Edo people. There's no impact of government in the last 1 year on the people. And Edo State is a joke, has become a joke to the other states in Nigeria and even some African countries. If you go to the internet, you will see people mocking us about the kind of governor that we have. And every day, they try to demonize the previous government. I just wonder why. Instead of focusing on government, instead of focusing on the task before him, he trying to demonize the previous government. For what end, I can never understand.
All right, thank you, Daniel. I'll come back to you, but let's see your reactions to that, because I did say earlier, you know, the figure that was peddled, 5,000, and of course the additional 3,000 that will be coming shortly, is what should be empirically verified. But he said previously they were employed.
Thank you. You know, my dear friend, Barrister Dan, we were together at the time. He transferred to PDP, was 2 months before Obaseki left. So probably he forgot some of the things he knew about the administration. First, Obaseki administration did not employ, even with the casual basis that he took some young teachers and said they will be, you know, infused into the system. They were on casual basis and they were less than 1,000. Now this governor came, haven't heard the cry of schools, more importantly at rural areas, where they were completely, in some schools, only one principal, no any other teacher. Edo people are here to state the obvious, because they were empirical. They take their kids to school, they just go to school, especially the rural area, so that the parents can go to farm. Not necessarily because they were going to go and learn. The whole system was bastardized. Sobeb was messed up. Everything about Sobeb, in short, those were appointed to manage Sobeb was completely sit down and look. While the governor was solely doing what he wants to do by himself. In short, his cabinet, he was not even consulting with them. So what he's saying, I understand his plight. He's the publicity secretary of the party. He just need to say something. Now the governor, you have agreed now that he has permanent these people. And that means they will become pensionable. That means they will annually get promotion. That means some families are now smiling. Some persons are now waiting that I will work and retire and then earn so much. And that is the game when it comes to civil service system.
All right.
And that's gotten already.
Okay.
And going further, additional 3,000. Not only on teachers.
I'll come back to you.
If you go to the health section,
I'll come back to you after this short break.
New employment was also
You
made.
still have the floor, please. I'll come back to you after this short break.
Okay.
Do stay with us. We still have you so quickly.
Good. As I was saying, not just only the 8,000 in view, or already saying that the governor is doing on teacher level. In the health sector, over 2,000 new employees were made, and they just finished their screenings. Ongoing. That's why I'm telling you, probably the media of the government have not hyped so much, because the government just believe it's all about the people getting the dividends which they want. We are not just talking about infrastructure now. We are talking about recurrence. These are recurrent budgets, which most times people don't see. Otherwise, most times what you see people doing, what some governors will do, are those physical things that will look like eye service. Now, if he's building human capital which is already doing. That will tell you. Then even on the political gains, you can see how many governors before now believe that we can have commissioner up to 29. In some cases, they did. Obaseki, I'm sure he didn't want up to 18. Because some local government that he felt were not his friends, or the political leader there, he doesn't like their faces, he denied them of basic rights, which the constitution envisaged. Now this government is not like that. Now you are seeing, we have 18 local government, and we're already dwelling about 29 commissioners. If God may have it, more may even still come. That means he's not being selfish. He believes that what is going to come, we are going to maximize it. Now the commissioners that have been employed, probably within this period they were unemployed.
Yeah.
And now employment
I was coming there. I was coming there because some would say, is this as a result of political patronage for those who helped during the elections, or is it empirically for service delivery? Well, time will tell over that anyways. But what do you have to say as regard that amount? Because some say compared to the past administration where we had 18 commissioners. But let me redirect the question to you. Dan Ogbege, please, if you are still there, react to this aspect of the current governor having up to 29 commissioners, if I'm not mistaken. Because you look at that stretch, it shows and goes a long way at, delivering services to the people, filling the people even at the grassroots through the offices or ministries being opened. Don't you basically see this as a huge gap which wasn't really filled by the past government of Obaseki?
Mr. Brother Philip, because as Collins mentioned just now, I was part of the APC. Though I started politics in the PDP, but I moved to the APC 2019, November, December, for certain reasons. So most of these people are my guys. So that's why sometimes when I want to talk about them, I have to restrain. Otherwise, there are a lot I could really say about this government and the things that drive the government and the things that drive the people in the government. But so as it will not appear that I'm being personal, so I will be commissioners that were appointed. I'm sure I have personal relationship with at least 75% or 70% of them. So some of the things that we say, some of them might take it to be personal, think it has to be personal. Even the person in the studio, Collins Saga Amadi, is also a friend. So there are some things I also be a bit restrained not to say. He said I joined the APC, the PDP 2 months to the election. That is not true. I joined in May, and the election was in September, and the government wound up in November. So I had a lot of time to understand that government and to also know that, there were process. There was a process of employment of teachers by SUBEB, and it was a robust process. There were a series of interviews. You would think that they are applying for a top multinational organization. The processes they went through, the interviews they went through, the exams that they wrote, and over maybe 5,000 something or about 4,000 were shortlisted for employment, including those that were in those stars. So what Oba just did was to take all this. He stopped that employment when he was running. He stopped it. He cancelled it. What he did was to now bring them back and added a few others. And he's not celebrating employing teachers, bringing in teachers. But having said that, let's even look at to see the directionlessness, to see the purposelessness of this government and the man at the helm of affairs. In the history,
if you got the question asked previously, I don't know if you got the question.
Yes.
I told you,
Yeah,
I asked about the
now.
aspect of the
there.
commissioners, the number of commissioners that have been, brought up in governance by the present administration, as compared to that of the Obaseki's administration. Obaseki had about 18 commissioners, but he's moving with about 29 commissioners. Doesn't this show that is covering the gap that the Obaseki's administration left?
No, it shows is purposelessness. What it shows is too much politics. In this government, there's so much politics and probably even lack of governance. in this government, they want to impress political godfathers. Now, I can tell you, for instance, in Oriomo local government, where you have 2 commissioners from Oriomo, and even 3 commissioners, it is because the leaders in that local government could not agree on one particular commissioner. So the government decided, okay, so as not to get some people angry, he like to take their nominees. That is what happened in other local governments. When leaders could not agree to present one particular nominee, they took all the people that they are bringing. That's what happened. The same thing happened in Oedo. The same thing happened in Ofia area. So it is not pure politics. And of course, this appointment clearly show that it was draw for the boys. You even see the allocation of ministries to the various nominees or to the various commissioners. You can just see that, nothing was thought. There was no thought going into the appointments. There was no strategic thought going into the appointments. For instance, can you have somebody that read, say, English language or English education as commissioner in charge of internal security? One would expect that internal security should have somebody who is an expert in the area of security. Given the problem we are having with insecurity in Edo State at the moment, given the level of kidnappings, of armed robberies, and court activities that we are having in Edo State at the moment. So there are a lot I could even talk about, but many of these people are my friends. But again, my loyalty is to Edo State and to Edo people. So that's the reason why I would even venture to even talk about them. For instance, you appoint somebody that read philosophy as commissioner for science and technology. On what basis is that? And there are still many people who are angry. There are many people in this APC who work very hard, who are angry that the government has even looked at them. So it's going to find ways, it's going to create offices for them. Somebody that calls Amadi Osaka, who's in the studio now, I know, because I have friends.
I would have loved you to finish that. I would have loved you to finish that, but I think
a lot of them,
it's still talking about the number of commissioners that may not be stopped at this level, because you also seek to become a commissioner someday, if the governor, says in his wisdom to grant you that, aren't you?
Of course. It was my ambition.
So the number will increase, probably, because this brings us to a point where we say, is it about the number increasing of commissioners? Is it about the people or just patronage?
Now, Philip, we must be factual and sincere to ourselves. If the government employs 50 commissioners, that means 50 persons have left unemployment grants.
Oh, should it be about
I am coming, sir.
Or service delivery?
I am coming now. When you talk about service delivery, how best can you get service delivery when you are not closer to the government? The more the commissioner, the more the people are closer to authority. It is true in which the commissioner, you reach the government because they are representative of the governor, direct representative. They are members of council. So if I have a commissioner from Oredo East and I have from Oredo West precisely, that means the one from Oredo West will easier go before his people and tell them, this is what the governor intends to do. What do we do? Let's call a town hall meeting and let's decide before we present the next budget. Then you have 16 local government or 18 local government commissioner who will tell you, I have over 700 or 300 communities or 150 communities within my domain. I didn't have the time to go around. Probably that was why we don't know what you people wanted. But however, it's just a way of making the people participant. Because those that didn't employ before, what was the benefit thereof in the general? This one employed more. Just as he's employing in political areas we have stated, the same way he's also employing those who are not politicians, that are already civil servants. So if he had left the ordinary people today, or you as we assume, and focused on employing politicians, then you will force him. Now the ordinary citizens who believe they are not into politics but want to work as civil servants are also being engaged in their high number. That means the man is ready to deliver at all costs. The security force some persons will packaged on their own and go home with. This man is ready to use it probably for people. Because now, if you feel because we are unable to reach government, that was why we became in. That was why we started acting unusual. Now, through an employment of a commissioner, automatically the commissioner will restrain himself that his own salary certainly will be divided to many people from his quarter. Those who have rice, they don't have oil. Those who have oil, they don't have kerosene. It will be easier to reach him. That means the burden of the governor is reduced. Now he will have a PA. He will have a driver. He will have probably an orderly. That means 5 people are automatically engaged.
Okay, but won't that also increase the cost of governance? Because we've been on this part where we said, you know, there's need to reduce the cost of governance and, of course, make it less attractive. Because you don't really know why some persons will want to, you know, romance an office, particularly maybe for personal aggrandizement, or we don't know. You know, we've seen you across board, you know, what you've been doing so far in respect of making sure that you know, closing the gaps. But questions are also being asked. Why isn't the governor looking into this direction? But I do hope that shortly he should be looking into that. So we are talking about as in placing round pegs in round holes, square pegs in square holes. But in the process of doing that, shouldn't there be, you know, less attractiveness in governance so that we don't have, you know, commissioners or persons only eyeing the budget or what comes into the office without delivering service that is needed to the people?
Reducing cost of governance did not stop you from making employment. In short, when you make employment, that is the best way of reducing cost of governance. Employment is not only when you employ civil servants. Politicians too, when they are employed, just as I told you, those 8 up to time that even go with these people, most time become civil servants. Sometimes you pick from an ICT staff who is to be acting as secretary along with commissioner. He infused into the ICT department and becomes civil servant. Right. Just and so is going. Now let me tell you, let's be realistic on all this ground. Employment, yes, you agree it's going to come as a way of overhead cost. Okay. But being an overhead cost means that if the governor was supposed to do anniversary, where you reduce cost of governance naturally, fleet of cars probably maybe the government and its officials used. Maybe you reduce them. Okay,
I'll come back to you.
Then when you want to do anniversary, 1 year anniversary, maybe you reduce your costs. Those are where you cut costs in governance, not by way of employment.
Let's proportionately share the time for you to make contributions. We lost connection at the time where Barrister Dan Ogbege was really speaking, but I don't know if we can establish that again. Dan Ogbege, can you hear me?
I hear you very well. I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, well, you want to react to what he said and also finish strong on what you were talking about before that discussion?
Yes, you know, Philip, in other climes, when people are successful in their private business, when they come to the state to serve in government, but in Edo State, we have too many hangers on. We have too many people who are looking to have their of the state resources, and they cannot show what they have done before then. They cannot show the work they have done, the businesses, the place they have worked, the contributions they have made to the society in terms of the work that they are doing, the profession that they are doing. Also, they don't have an office, they don't have anything. They're just moving around looking for offices. And many of these people are the people Monday Okpebholo has brought to his government. So we want them to vote for him during the election. That is just what it is. There's no strategic reasoning in terms of making these appointments of subordinate commissioners. It is unprecedented. Not even when we were Benga State, with more people, with more local governments, that we had this much appointment. Now, you know, it took this man almost 1 year to complete his commissioner's appointment. He first of all appointed about 8 of them, and before he added the ones he added recently. So we just know that it is not about the people, it is not about the future of Edo State, it is about trying to meet the needs of godfathers, trying to meet the needs of party membership. Okpebholo is too overly partisan, it's too overly political to be governor of this state and be able to take us to where we should be. For me, I believe that those states is too sacrosanct to be left with people who don't really know where they are going, or who are there because of personal aggrandizement, because of purely personal political interest, or because they just want to answer the name governor. I was once a governor of a state in Nigeria. That is what is happening. When Okpebholo was campaigning during the campaign, can you tell me his agenda? At least when Amo was campaigning for governor, when he was talking about simple agenda, can you tell me the one that was Okpebholo's? There was no one. People just wanted to be governor. That's the reason why 1 year after, that's the reason why even with far more resources coming to the state because of the subsidy removal, there is nothing to show for it in Edo State. It goes around trying to do one elephant projects to build a flyover in Rama Park that is completely not needed. Roads all over the states have gone bad. In the last 1 year, Okpebholo did not deceive gutters. It did not try to fix, to repair roads. The roads went at once. You're not talking about those roads. We're talking about spending over 200 billion naira to build flyover in Rama Park. And it's coming to Adesuwa Junction to build flyover. Adesuwa Junction. That's the government that is not in tune with the people. It's just a government that doesn't really care about what the people want. And it doesn't even know what the people want. Now, the money you're going to fund to 29 or 30 commissioners and about 15 or 20 special advisors, you can push that money into the civil service. The government of Godwin Obaseki, there was a civil service reform. The other states in Nigeria were coming to Edo State to copy from Godwin Obaseki's civil service reform. What do we have now? At that time, during Obaseki, the processes in the civil service were seamless. There were no.
Well, we sincerely apologize for the distortions and the audio of that. We basically would have loved you to finish that. We'll come back to you. I believe you can hear us down Ogbegia. But are you there?
I can hear you very well.
Don't stop now.
Okay, we sincerely apologize for the distortions once more. Well, let's get your thoughts. He made mention of some ideas, that have been in the public domain and criticisms also in that respect. We understand the fact that, the governor wants a unique style, in terms of what he does. At least being the first time, Edo State is having flyovers, But is it about just having flyovers in Benin, or the projects really mitigating the gap or really meeting the needs for the people? Because one good fact about the issue of the flyover at Ramat Park, well, some have said, well, that's quite timely. But again, the one at Adesuwa Junction, some have said, well, ridiculous.
Wonderful. Thank God, he said government is continuous. And he also said this government is directionless. A government that is directionless realizes that when you are going through Mobile houses, sometimes people take 7 hours at one point. Because why? There is no alternative point to drop out. And he decided to decongest and give that place that became more like a zoo. Obaseki ruled for 8 years. That place was like a zoo, taken over by weed. Nothing.
But we understand that what's the relevance of the one
that is why I'm coming.
Being proposed.
I have just stated it now. I'm coming. Now, the people over there are now bold to say even their properties are now appreciating. Do you know what it is for flyover to come towards your quarter? Now, he has solved two major issues there. And to all the unemployed, he even said it was an big elephant project. That means the man will face what many couldn't face. He will give him an applaud. He's trying to redesign the city center, how it's supposed to be in the 21st century. Now he came to Sapele Road, which is an exit point to those coming from Lagos houses, or even from the east. You want to go to parts of Delta, Bayelsa, and so many. You go through Sapele Road. That is a major center in Benin. So you wouldn't have been coming into Benin or exiting from Benin when you are coming from another houses. And you see Benin as ancient as they claim it should be.
Yeah, but we're looking at the project, not even proposed, the project for Adesuwa.
Is that this what I'm talking about now?
Yeah, yes.
Is that this what I'm talking about now?
So
I have since left
how does the flyover project there,
let me
how does it serve maximally the people, and how does it bring about commercial services improvement?
Let me not balance it. Now, just as I said, when you are going through Bayelsa to Delta, you come to Edo, first visitors, you go to Sapele Road. From Sapele Road, you connect to GRA Axis, which is the main center to which by Adesuwa Junction. Now, this project has been cited. If you go through Adesuwa Junction from 6 p.m. till about 9, you will wish you never passed through that road. Hold up an unnecessary crisis in that point. Now, the benefit thereof, facelift, modernization, decongestion, appreciation, and value for properties around there. If you go to rivers, you go to Cross River, you go to Lagos, you go to Abuja, even some parts of North that they have not even experienced 3 vehicles starting at a point, there are flyovers because those are part of modern infrastructure that you see in a growing environment. Edo is not growing. Do you know why, my friend, feel very disappointed? Because with the obvious performance of the governor, and you know the people vote based on performance, that means PDP is completely finished. Why would this man continue to do a massive project that cannot be hidden?
Okay.
And that is the problem.
Okay.
Now we
don't have much time, but let me quickly throw this in before I get to Dan Ogbege. Well, if you talk about all of these projects, we understand that, yes, agreeably, there's increase in allocation from the federal to the subnational. Those states must have experienced an increase. But again, let's take our minds back to the legacies of the past administration as regards, digital revenue collection that was really, really emphasized in the Obasanjo's administration then, and that some expected that the present leadership, would take a cue from, because it helps to reduce the human-to-human interactions as regards revenue collection. Now, and it also brings in more revenue. But is the emphasis still as high?
Now, let me tell you, when Obaseki was leaving, this government did not see him to even hand over notes to or tell. Even when transition committee was constituted, he was unable to present his deficits nor his progress to the incoming. So this government came, if not that the people's passion for delivering is high, he wouldn't even be able to even do anything for now. He will still be going through the paper.
So are you taking, now, are you saying that's an excuse?
I am coming, sir.
For not delivering on digital governance?
I am coming now. I am coming. You talked about digital. It opened Wi-Fi in some point and said there was Wi-Fi. It was just a way to scaffold the people's money. Wi-Fi without people having, it was not even a free Wi-Fi. You will go to Center for Bar Market where it says place the Wi-Fi. For example, you cannot WhatsApp, you cannot do anything. Now, it was just somewhere way of scam. If you had done a proper...
I'm talking about how it affects revenue generation.
I'm going there now. I'm just citing that as an example. Now, every progress we saw in Obasanjo's government, every little process, even those modernization of the civil servant reform he talked about. Now he said there was reform in civil servant. We agree. Some of the infrastructure around the civil servant was worked on. But if we go beyond, there may be deficits. All those progress we even saw with Obaseki.
Okay, but you agree with me?
Initiated by Barrister Sajo.
You agree with me that I don't want you to jump the gun. You agree with me that for us to get all of these projects done, there should be money. Yes, there should be a viral revenue collection system. Let's get to you, Dan Ogbege.
No, that is exactly what the government is working on
Dan Ogbege,
yeah, and that is why those people are paying tax for now.
Dan Ogbege, please, if you can hear me, I want you to react to this as regards the revenue collection as brought in by the former government in terms of having less human interaction in digital space as compared to this. What do you have to say?
Yes, it is still the same problem that we complain about. That this governor came and he's trying to dismantle everything he made on ground. When it is not broken, you don't fix it. There was a digital revenue collection. They not involve human beings collecting money for the government under Godwin Obaseki.
That was
What was wrong with it? Memo de Paolo to end it or to stop it. He could have continued with that, but he did not. Today, they brought back tax bills to be collecting money on behalf of the state government. And today, we cannot even really know the amount of revenue, the revenue the person is collecting. We don't know. At that time, it was digitalized. Why was it stopped? So if it's not broken, you don't fix it. You continue with that. The government is continuous. It is why we say that this government was never prepared for governance. And he has shown it over and over again. That is knee-jerk actions, his knee-jerk policies of assault that he has instituted.
Okay, Daniel Gbege, big thanks for taking our time to be part of this, but I don't know if I will have enough time to get back to you on this issue of the specialist hospital, that belongs to the state government. And of course, this challenge where some say it's not really under the commissioner, for health, Cyril Oshomole, and of course the HMB saga, talking about the fact that they wouldn't want to be under the ministry of health. Now, what do you have to say about this saga in the state in 30 seconds?
We are talking about delegation of duty. If need be to delegate some part of the ministry, so be it. All we need is result-oriented. If the governor can get the result to making the people smile, it's fine.
So you agree that the Commissioner for Health, Cyril Oshomole, is not having a grip on the management of specialist hospitals?
I have not heard that from Cyril. Neither has the spokesman come to say he's not having grip. Okay. But sometimes some people can choose to either spare it. But for me, if I'm asked to be a spokesman of the governor, and another person is also a spokesman of the governor, it's better for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Collins Amadi, former SSA to the governor on youth and, of course, community development. And let's get your last words for this show in 30 seconds. Dan Ogbege.
Philip, we advise the governor to sit down. It's only by Edo. It's only by Edo State. It's only by Edo people. He should focus on giving her the best. He has the next 4 years. He should use it well. He should stop being overly.
Thank you so much, Daniel Gbege. Big thanks to everyone for taking part of this discussion. We'll take a short break, and after which Abuja Network Center will be having their bit of conversation this day.
They say is everybody's business. That is the crux of the matter from the Abuja Network Center of the program this morning on ITV. I am Charity Tamko. We all know that Nigeria is a country that has been bedeviled with several security situations. Practically every zone in this country is facing one form of insecurity or the other. In some places, it's kidnapping and banditry. Other places, terrorism, insurgency. Other places, it's militancy. Name it, every dimension, every kind of insecurity, you'll find it in Nigeria. But hey, we all know that successive governments have been trying their best. Even the current government is doing what it could to control the situation. And to discuss this matter with me, this morning, because we can never get tired of discussing our security situation in this country. I have at my far right there Barrister Charles Mbalisi. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, dear.
And in the middle here, I have Sani Shinkafi. He is an APC chieftain. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me in the program.
I am especially glad I have you here because we are talking about the APC-led administration. Let me start with you. How can you assess, what is your assessment of the security situation so far from 2023 down to this day?
Well, the security situation, as you have said earlier in your opening remark, in every geographical zones in Nigeria, they have their different security challenges. In the northwest, we have issue of kidnapping. We have issue of kidnapping for ransom, killings, bloodletting, armed banditry, cattle rustling, extortion, imposition of levies by these criminal armed bandits. In the northeast, we have ISWAP, Boko Haram, and insurgents. Then in the north, also central, we have armed banditry, insurgency, kidnapping for ransom, armed robbery, cultism, and all sort of criminality. Well, also in the southwest, in the southeast, in south, they have all their different security challenges. So looking at the present administration, the government have did a lot of, have fought this insecurity drastically, and it has been downgraded. Most especially looking at what is happening in the northwest. There will be a time where you see this armed bandit in Zamfara will kill 200, 100. But now it has been minimized to the BRS minimum level 4, following the deployment of more military forces in the region. So, but the government have to sit off, and the government has to do the needful, because constitutionally it is the primary responsibility of the government, security and welfare of its people. And the issue of security or national security, it comprises of many things. It's not only security of life and property, also food security, cyber security, and other sort of security is needed. So the government have did their best, but they need to do more. More money are being appropriated in the national budget, yet it has mismatched with the performance of the security. And the Mr. President has to do everything humanly possible to overhaul the security architect of the nation. Especially what is happening now is in the Ministry of Defense. More money are being appropriated. There is need for forensic auditing and also forensic accounting to know whether the money appropriated in the national budget are being duly utilized for the purpose. So these are some of the what is happening even in the northeast. You see the issue of Boko Haram have been reduced to the minimum barriers level, but still military formation have been attacked, people are being kidnapped, and many property are being destroyed. But the government need to do everything humanly possible to secure the territorial integrity of, and the sovereignty of the nation. That is the most important thing for every government in power.
Well, Barrister, to you, what would you like to say? Because I would like to know if you have a counter opinion to this.
Yeah, thank you very much. hands of the federal government, the president. That's in charge. And I must tell you, security in this country, I cannot say it's a success story, so far, because just like Elijah has said, the issues of banditry still raising heads, and that has not been solved. The issues of separatists, agitations, is still there. That has not been solved. Like you said, food security. Of course, when farmers cannot go to the farm any longer, how do you achieve food security? Now, all these things is creating a lot of tension in the country. Because the common man, the farmers cannot go to this farm up to tomorrow. Most farmers. And basically, most people, Nigerians, especially that northeast, most of them are predominantly farmers. This is where most of the food we eat in this country are generated from. So if we still hear that they cannot go to farm, if we still hear that the government, some of the state governments are still negotiating with these terrorists, negotiating with these people that are perpetrating a lot of injuries, causing mayhem, and yet nothing is happening. It shows that there's no success story yet. It shows that a lot has to be done. We are not saying that there have not been areas, where the military, of course, they are trying their best, we cannot take it away, but much needs to be done because, of course, the ripple implication of insecurity moves, affects the lives, activities of common Nigerians, affects the food they have to get on the table, affects the policies of the federal government because it can't go to the grassroots. So that means, for me, I must say, this is not a success story yet. Much needs to be done. The federal government needs to ensure that they use not only strategic measures, there must be political measures.
When you say political measures,
yes,
what do you mean?
Yes. For instance, for this people that are agitating for self-determination, it's causing tension. Of course,
self-determination,
like Biafra agitators, is part of the tension that we are having in this country that need to be solved. And it needs political solution. The issue of self-determination in this country, for all I know, is advocacy for self-determination is not unlawful, but it's the way you go about it. It's not unlawful. It's a universal right to say, look here, we don't want to belong here. We want to go to this place. It now behoves on the authority to listen to you, to know why. The constitution of this federal of the country of today is section 39, section 34. Section 39 and 40 gives rights to every citizen to express themselves, freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. Now, why I'm talking about the political situation, the federal government most times are not handling most of these agitators' issues correctly. Yes, most of them are in court. Issues are in court. But let me say specifically for this Nnamdi Kanu issue, I think the federal government need to put up a strong political solution that will be able to arrest this. That will solve issues in Southeast. Federal government need to invite IPOB. Find out what is the issue. Political self-determination is good in South Sudan. It happened. John Grant led a South Sudan army movement front. that said they want to go from South Sudan. And in 2011, South Sudan got the independence. In Kosovo, it happened, which led to Kosovo having their independence in 2008. And it was all political solution. In Palestine today, the Palestinians are still agitating that they want self-determination, which is still ongoing. And Nigeria has supported that. I listened to the vice president of this country in the recently concluded United Nations General Assembly of 2025, where he laid his voice to other countries that have supported self-determination of Palestinians. Because he said, according to him, that Palestinians have their right to be self-determined, and that is correct. So if Nigeria can go to that part to support other advocacies that are agitating for self-determination in Palestine, why can't Nigeria use the same measure in bringing our brothers together to say, if Nigeria are allowing the governors to negotiate in the Northeast with the perpetrators of that are killing and killing Nigerians.
They are repentant.
Yes, we say they are repentant.
They are repentant.
And when
they are not still carrying out the act. These are people that have come out to say, we are no longer part of this. We are not doing this anymore. All we seek is to have a conversation.
But do we still have the reoccurrence?
So
after the same agreement, do we still have the reoccurrence? Of course, we still have. That means it's a pretext. That means it's not a solution. That means that's
not a solution, but it is a path. It is not a final solution, but it is a path the federal government is treading towards finding a solution.
Good. So if the government wants it, it's good for Uganda. If the government feels or thinks that is a good approach, why not extend it to the separatists, to people who are advocating for self-determination?
All right. I'll hold your thoughts there. Alhaji, let's talk about the APC-led administration has made promises to Nigerians from 2015 and down to especially when it has to do with security situation. But Nigerians are worried that even as we speak, the situation doesn't look as if it's going to get better, because we still have, like what he said, and even in the Northwest, we still have some governors negotiating with this bandit. What do you think should be done differently to achieve that positive result that the government has been yearning for?
Yeah, you see, the issue of security or combating security is everybody's business, irrespective of political party, irrespective of religious affiliation, irrespective of tribe or ethnicity. The government have done everything humanly possible, I have said earlier, to appropriate funds in the fight against this insecurity. But what is drawing back the fight against the insecurity? There are some factors that are stumbling blocks in achieving such a success. Corruption is part of what is drawing the fight against insecurity back. Weak institutional failure, that is weak judicial system, weak infrastructure, and also there is no political will on the part of the even federal government, state government, even the local government in the fight against this insecurity. We have political bandits, people who are using this banditry insurgency to achieve some of their political gains. Even this agitation for Biafra or self-determination, some politicians are riding on the back of Nnamdi Kanu in the southeast to win election on the IPOB, using IPOB. Because when you are not in good book of IPOB agitators, nobody, I'm telling you, I know the intrigues of politics in the southeast. Nobody can win election in the southeast without working with those agitators because they are highly populated. Many of them are directly or indirectly. So what I'm saying here, that the federal government since 2015 have done everything humanly possible to fight this insecurity. But there are some, even who are part of the government, are sabotaging the effort of the military and the federal government in the fight against this insecurity.
You know, even former Goodluck Jonathan, before he left office, he said this. He said that he knew that there are some persons in government. But one question Nigerians keep asking is, recently, some times ago, the Zamfara State Governor, Dr. Lawal, he said the same thing. But Nigerians keep asking these questions. If you know these people, how come they are not being named and shamed?
Yeah, you see, what is happening, especially what we have said in Zamfara, from Zamfara State, what is happening in Zamfara State, it has political undertone. These armed bandits cut across the 40 local government in Zamfara State are 90% are indigenous. They are not from outside the country. They are not from Libya, not Mali, they are not from Senegal or Burkina Faso. They are indigenous. We know their parents, we know them. You understand? There are some politicians who are toying the life of innocent people on this issue of armed banditry. Naming them or not knowing them, the people in Zamfara State knew those who are following the issue of armed banditry in Zamfara, including the security agencies, they knew them. You understand? It is not my responsibility or your responsibility to name them. Exactly. But the security agencies, the secret police, have the intelligence report. They know who are involved. So, like the governor have did everything humanly possible to deploy more resources in this fight against banditry in Zamfara State. But some politician are sabotaging his effort. He was able to bring hunters from Yobe and Maiduguri, more than 2,000 hunters, both of operation, body community protection guard, pay the allowances of logistics operation of the other security agencies. But still, some people within the government, his government, outside his government, in the opposition party also are also sabotaging his effort. I have to say it without any apology to anybody whatsoever. I'm saying the truth. So the governor have done everything humanly possible, and he's the only governor in the Northwest who said he would not negotiate with the bandit. But unknown to him, unknown to people like us from Shinkafi, an Islamic cleric from Kaduna intrude and went to Shinkafi and said he was going there to negotiate with Bello Turji. Yes. You understand? He went there to negotiate without the consent of the governor, without the consent of the traditional ruler, without anything. What is the essence of negotiating with bandits? They are not reliable, they are not honest, they are not sincere. And if you say you want to negotiate with them, there should be a total disarmament, de-radicalization, reintegration, and rehabilitation. There was no such thing like SEP corridor in the northeast. Whether if the state is involved or anybody is involved, there should be a total disarmament. It is disheartening and heartbreaking. You see an armed bandit going to negotiate with the locals, carrying sophisticated weapons, talking with all kinds of rudeness and rascality in front of traditional rulers. And yet they will go back with their weapons and in the presence of the military.
Elijah, so, there. We are going on a short break, and when we continue, we still have Barrister Umbalisi and Elijah Sani Shinkafi here. These gentlemen are still here. We're discussing national security. I'll let you round up your line of thoughts so I can ask the barrister. We have just about 7 minutes.
Yeah, since you have been talking about national security, it is the responsibility of the federal government to preserve, protect, and enhance security of lives and property in Nigeria. And it is the responsibility of every government to make sure that they protect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of a country from all these activities of criminals. As we have said in our opening remark, all the segments of the society or all the regions in Nigeria, since geopolitical zone, they have their different peculiar security challenges. So the government needs to do everything humanly possible, because of the election now is in 2007 is around the corner. So a lot of criminality will start to be coming up. So this is the time for the government to do everything humanly possible. There is even need for the Mr. President to see what he can do to overhaul the security apparatus in the Ministry of Defense. Need to bring people who know the job, because one of the minister among the ministers have turned his office to be a office where he has been receiving dick and peace in APC.
Thank you, Barrister. Nigerians would like to know, though, this part of negotiation that the federal government is doing, like granting pardon to repentant Boko Haram and all of that. As a legal practitioner, is there provision for that in the Constitution? Is there a window that gives that Constitution rights in the Constitution?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, yeah, the federal government, the presidency per se, the president has the powers to grant clemency, forgiving, even up to convicted persons. Of course, if you can, you can notice it's in the public domain that president gets clemency to some people, even though there's still a country people that made the list. But he exercised this power through the Attorney General to grant that. So he had that right. But just like in sincerity to what Alhaji said, because I like Alhaji's comment, he's sincere about it, you know, before you negotiate with bandits, there are procedures. The method that is being used is unethical. That you cannot achieve peace. How did that amnesty come about? Look at what the measures taken by President Yar'Adua, how he achieved amnesty. Before then, President Obasanjo was there. He went Asari Dokubo led Niger, fighting Asari Dokubo and attack it all. It's the public domain to find out a legal solution. Even though the federal government, after that negotiation, did not meet, there was no conclusion to that. Has been taken care of. So that is what. Radicalization. There must be who will be as at then will be very repentant, showing repentance and promising them empowerment so that you can now incorporate it. Now we have Northeast Development Commission, we have some North Central, we have Southeast. Well, attach this amnesty clemency to them to negotiate on behalf of the government. So there are procedures. The way Amana is going, it is not the fact that nothing has started. As a matter of fact, the federal government needs to take up a powerful resolution to use political situation to solve this, because Nigerians are suffering. If we continue in this, we can be able to, in fact, many people, many local governments may not cast this election, the next election.
Thank you very much.
So there must be a solution to it. We cannot continue to talk about it every day without action.
My producer has already given me the sign that is time up for me. Thank you very much, Barrister Charles Mbalisi and Alhaji Sani Shinkafi. Thank you for having this conversation and coming to the studio to do this with us. It's a long conversation and a continuing conversation, which I know we must have some other time. We'd like to have the two of you back in a short distance time so that we can discuss this conversation. Security conversation can never be concluded in Nigeria as long as Nigerians cannot go to bed with their two eyes closed. And that's all from Abuja Network Center. I will take a short break, after which Lagos will come up. Stay with us.
Staying with us, and of course, if you're just tuning in, you're watching your news and current affairs program TMI, reaching you live from our Lagos Network Center on the ITV network. I am Joshua Okata, and of course, as always, I have my co-anchor Patricia Gabriel-Spat.
Hi Josh, thank you for joining us again on TMI.
All right, going on, we will be talking about the presidential pardon probe instituted by the Attorney General of the Federation in the person of Prince Lateef Fagbemi-San, who has launched a multi-agency investigation into the somewhat controversial clemency extended to about 175 persons who were convicted for various crimes by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Meanwhile, the questions on the lips of Nigerians are, by what means were the convicted persons, I'm talking about those who were convicted for drug trafficking offense, and of course those who were involved in violent crimes like kidnapping, armed banditry, and of course murder. How were those names smuggled in, especially looking at the clemency list that was released recently? And of course, what is the integrity of those who are heading the agency that are saddled with the responsibility to investigate that list? And what punitive measures would be carried out on those who were alleged to have smuggled the names? I'm talking about the low-level officials that smuggled the names of those convicted persons into the clemency list. These and many more would be the basis for our discussion this morning from our Lagos Network Center. And of course, joining us to lay layers on those conversations, we have Mr. Elvis Elimehele, who is a political affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Elvis. Thank you so much once again for joining us.
Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Mr. Elvis.
Nice. Pleasure.
All right, now, before we delve further, I did like to let you know that we'll be looking at these issues, and of course, it's going to be your conversation alongside with us, whatever that would be happening on the conversation this morning will be your view. Now we're talking about the clemency list that is being looked into, scrutinized, and looked since the press on speaking of increase. Now, the president, no doubt, has the prerogative constitutionally to be able to give pardon or extend pardon to persons whom he feels merits that particular measure. But of course, what is your view as a Nigerian who lives in fear, especially walking of Lagos and sleeping close and in the rules of having to the mental cause in how news first least was secondly issue of visit.
Thank you, Joe. It's no doubt that Nigerians, when we saw that list, we were taken aback. Everybody was apprehensive. 175 is not as if the number is too much, but we are looking people that are more credit to us. We are at one while in court they are JTM, and they have appeared to become persons that you cannot reckon with in the society. So okay, let me extend it to him. But when this list came out, we saw about 93% of this list were people of questionable character. That was where Nigerians were now like, how did this happen? Who compiled this list? And you know this list is coming from one of the most high-ranking offices in Nigeria, the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, which means everything that has to be done on that list ought to be thorough. So nobody will tell any Nigerians that that list is not, the Attorney General of the Federation did not see that list before he got to the presidency, before, you know, Council of State, National Council of State also searched for the approval of that list too. So you look at the number of very prominent functions of government that are involved in the release of that list. We saw people who are drug peddlers. That has caused the work that in the morale of this miscreant is when they are high on drugs. And you know the speculation of that we mean that even so many legal manners that were jailed because of the antecedent that you know what illegal mining has brought into this nation. States like Zamfara, states like Niger, states like Kwara, and even extended to Kogi and part of Edo State. Now, it is still legal mining that has really led to this banditry that has become an issue in this state that Nigerians are killing daily. Then you look
look at that list, the more that at least that woman that was played up in that list, so that even that list, some credible Nigerians who are not even supposed to be in that list, we can now brought in, because the people who gave out that list were that to try to go to make what me granting amnesty to people like
they're reviewing the list. You know, we've been told that the list was padded by some low-level in the committee. Do you think the council would sit again and meet again to approve a new reviewed list?
It makes the office of the Attorney General to become something of questionable matter. And again, even the pardon, the presidential pardon that is actually guaranteed, that guaranteed the constitutional part of the constitution that guaranteed the president that pardon, it makes it to lose as if we are playing. It's now become a joke. Because in the first instance, why don't we do this background check before that list was thrown to Nigerians? Now you are going back to review because Nigerians started criticizing the list. Because you see, sometimes when they are drawing up this kind of thing, they think that we are so naive that we don't have time to actually look at what they are doing. That's why sometimes you see when they release ministerial lists, they put some dead persons. When they release parastatized DGs, some dead names, you see some persons that are already dead, including in that list, because they just think that Nigerians don't have time to actually look at what we are doing. But they don't know that because of the way we have seen their failure and the way they have handled their matters, you know, in a very trivial form, it now makes us to look at whatever they bring at us, is this really how it's supposed to be? So coming back to now say, okay, we want to go and review that list, it shows the failure of that Office of Attorney General.
Yes, before we look into the Office of the Attorney General and, of course, what should be, done in this case. Now, let's get your view as regards how Nigerians felt, especially considering the fact that so much persons who were involved in drug trafficking were given clemency. And that in itself rubbed on the personality of the president himself. So what's your take as regards that?
Yeah, Josh, it's something that Nigerians just have to start, talking. Because some people say, oh, best of the same feather flocks together.
How do you mean?
Well, we saw what happened in the 3 January 2020 election, all that a president draw all that, a certificate and all that. So people are now looking at what else can you expect from a president that has so much, hanging around him, and they are talking about pardon. So he's going to get people who are also from the same industry with him to be pardoned. Nigerians started talking in that regard. How else would you have expected Nigerians to talk when you saw that list that was drawn up by credible ministry as like that of Attorney General of the Federation? So whatever Nigeria says concerning that list, I don't see anything that is wrong with it, because if you look at that list, you see somebody like Farouk Lawal, who
civil servant, no matter your designation, even the cleaner, have somebody that supervises them.
So I was going to ask, so who will be these low-level officers?
These low-level officers that they are mentioning here, Pat, cannot be less than directors or assistant directors, because this is not just an ordinary list. For a list that you are going to submit to National Council of States, made up of past presidents, past governors and Senate presidents. You know what it means. So this is a list that everybody that is involved in drawing up this list ought to have taken absolute time to scrutinize it, because knowing the caliber of people that is going to, this list is going to be handed over to. But that to show that there was a compromise. Everybody that, whether it's coming from the director's office or assistant director's office or wherever, something must have gone through.
Can we not call for heads to roll if those who are saddled with this responsibility now are trying to, you know, I don't know how the word to put it now, but they are calling for a probe. In the process of the probe, should names not be unveiled as regards those who compromised, those who compromised the standard required or the due process that should be put in place? Are names not to be identified at this time, or what goes into probe? Let me ask you that.
That's what we are doing here. This advocacy that we are doing here, first of all, Nigerians scrutinized the list, and it got into press and saw that this list was just a worthless list. Then now we are talking about probe. We are still going to continue this advocacy that whoever is involved in drawing up this list must move to the next stage, prosecution. Let Nigerians see. So we will not stop this. That's what we are doing here. That's why the media is the fourth realm of the estate. We watch and critique whatever concert that we feel it is not, of interest to Nigerians. So we will not stop this.
True, because I'm sure Nigerians will want to know these low-level.
Yes, we want to know these low-level officers and who supervise. Who supervise? Because a senior officer cannot just come and mention low-level officers, because every assignment that is given to a low-level officer, George, goes through the approval of his boss. Who is this boss? He must be a senior officer. Then before he gets to the minister cannot tell Nigerians that he didn't see this list before he handed it to the president, before the president took it to National State Council meeting.
But sir, this is my question now. This list must have passed through these people.
So many roles are to roll in this.
Didn't they look at the list? Even the presidency, didn't he take a look at the list before approving?
That's another thing.
That's another, because everybody, aides of the president, like even the secretary of the secretary of the state,
secretary of the
federation.
Yes.
He supervises all the ministers. This list goes to his table. How did it pass through him before it got to the president? That nobody saw all those names. So if we are calling for heads to roll, George, the heads are going to roll, not just mentioning the low-level officers. Even the high-ranking officers that this list passed through their table are even the ones that we expected that by now they would have been suspended or call for their resignation.
And of course, do they owe Nigerians an apology for this?
100%.
Because of irresponsibility.
100%. That means they are not competent in their job, because it is taxpayers' money, you and I's money, that is used in servicing them and their offices.
By virtue of putting this kind of notorious name on the clemency list, what has it done to the issue of crime?
You know what that means? Drug traffic. Just give drug barons license to operate freely.
Some Nigerians say that by virtue of this list, what that means is that Nigeria has been pronounced a narco state.
Absolutely. And you know what that means to us in the international community. And you know that with this list, even you and I, that will say, okay, we are involved in whistleblowing to tell this organization, so this is, some robbers and murders and kidnappers released unjustly. Can you do that again? When you know that this person that you blew the whistle against is already free on the street and he can hack you any moment. So this list, it plays down to so many things that we should not just take with kids blow. We must handle this list in a very difficult form, in a hard form that we'll continue to remind the federal government, the reviewing is not necessary. Bring out the names of the people who got involved in this mess, that Nigerians will see them prosecuted, and so that will serve as deterrent to
By this time, next year or 2 years' time, we'll be talking of another pardon list from this from any government that comes in, so that this will serve as deterrent to whoever
We
is
have
in that
also
office.
seen videos where some communities were celebrating someone that was released, and we knew that that person was a very notorious person. And his community were celebrating already, awaiting him, throwing red carpets on the floor. Such person, do you think if he's released to the society, he would cause more havoc than what he did before?
No, 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 definitely he's going back to his business, knowing fully well that he has, gotten off the hook in the one that got him before. So now in fact, he has gone through the whole horde, so he now even know who and who to talk to. Do you think that before the name came into that list, maybe something has not exchanged hands? So he knows where to press the button, that even if he gets in, it will not even get to the level of being arrested, let alone to be talking of pardon.
Now, on that same list that we're talking about, it is said that some names, like the likes of Farouk Lawan, might still make the list again, given the level of crime, right? If it's not a violent crime engaged, might still names to make the. What is about
this one with say
that again?
How influential are you with the government and how connected? So most of that's why I said the review is not necessary, because it is those ones that they have already been saying, now, okay, let's agree that the low-level officers actually add 1 or 2 names. Those are the ones that are going to be removed. But the other ones that are at least highly connected are going to remain in that pardon as, they've gotten the presidential
And you think Farouk is highly connected?
Oh, definitely.
You know, he was once referred to as Mr. Integrity.
He was the head of Integrity Group in the National Assembly before Otedola, Femi Otedola messed him up.
Yes.
So that was somebody who was junketing around Nigerians and was telling Nigerians that his group in the National Assembly has all the credibility to dance who is not that corruption was hanging on his neck.
On him.
So, with this whole quagmire, what's the integrity of the office of the president and that of the Attorney General of the Federation?
It's in doubt.
Okay, I'm just going to put the question straight. Integrity of the presidency had reduced
100%. In fact, this is not even the president that even this knowing coming from. One expected that he will upgrade that integrity, because where he's coming from, at 2022, 2023, when he was coming to power, everything about him is still there in social media, it's still there everywhere. So one would have expected that, okay, let me tell Nigerians that those were, former. This is a new era. So he ought to have raised the level of integrity in this government. But unfortunately, we are seeing something where the president is coming from.
One quick one. Will this affect his campaign in 2027?
Well, campaign is a big one. It's a big one. In this nation, those who are saying, let it go the way of, let me have myself be involved in the stomach's infrastructure, are more than those that are saying we want sanity and integrity into this nation.
Really?
Yes, that is why you see this thing festers. So people were involved. If we want to probe this list, George, the number of persons that will be unearthed with this list, you will see that it's almost a whole community. But unfortunately, we are looking at, let him come to power because of what I'm going to get from him, not because of what Nigerians, you and I, stand to benefit. So campaign,
and the image of the country.
And the image of the country. So the campaign is, Nigerians will not even remember this one when it comes to campaign, because Nigerians are looking at what am I going to get when he comes into power in 2027. That's our focus, because of the level of poverty and greed.
So as we
find ourselves.
as we move closer to 2027, what's your final words that you're parting with, looking at this kind of situation, in terms of the kind of credible leaders that we should be looking at?
We should talk more. Nigerians should talk more. Nigerians should, every program and procedure of this government, whatever is released by this government, we should find time, no matter how busy we are, to look at it, so that some of these things can be, made known to Nigerians in an understandable language. Because the language Nigerians understand was that, presidential pardon, people were released. But some Nigerians took pain to actually say, okay, let me look at the antecedents of these people that were released. So now we are getting closer to 2027. We have to begin to check more of this. We have to have a time that things of this nature have to stop.
It cannot just be business as usual. Okay, it was done during Buhari. We also saw former President Goodluck Jonathan release Alamin Seya on these same controversial circumstances then. Then Buhari repeated it. Then this government is also. It must not be a trajectory. It must not continue in that manner. So we must have to, at least, Nigerians must have to begin to talk. Nigerians must have to remind Nigerians where we are coming from, and that there must always be a time that an end must be put to this kind of.
Okay, just to round off, you say Nigeria should talk more, and they are beginning to talk. But do you think this talk is being heard by the government?
If it is not being heard, if it's not being heard, they won't have been calling for review. They have already thrown the list at us, and this matter has gone
waited for Nigerians to
react. So if it's not being heard, they would have been calling for review. That means what we are saying the year, this review that you are talking about is like, oh, we are coming to right the wrong, but it's already too late. So that's to tell you that they hear what we say, and we must continue to talk.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis Elimeheli, for your exhaustive explanation and helping us make sense out of this whole thing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Pat. It's my pleasure.
On this note, we'll be wrapping up from our Lagos Network Center, but of course it's not over yet, as we'll be moving over now to our Benin Network for the news update. Please do stay.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me on the news round for this time. I am Philip Omo-Gyupo. A boundary dispute involving 3 neighboring communities, Iyekeze, Agbomomba, and Igwomo in Benin City, Edo State, has escalated following allegations that Igwomo community has encroached and destroyed farmlands belonging to Iyekeze and Agbomomba. The affected communities are now appealing to the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedo Kwakpolopolo Oba Ewa II, to intervene and restore peace. The report, filed by Shalom Onwugara, is presented by Pomosa Ugiagbe.
The tension between Iyekeze, Agbomoba, and Igwomo communities has deepened in recent weeks as residents accuse the people of Igwomo of encroaching into their farmlands, destroying economic trees and crops, using bulldozers to demarcate the land belonging to the 2 communities. According to community leaders, several attempts to settle the dispute amicably have failed. They said that they had met with the Oba and was told to maintain peace prior to this recent incident, and this has prompted the affected communities to seek the intervention of the revered Oba of Benin.
We are
begging our Benin monarch, the Oba of Benin, to please come to our aid because he has told us to wait for his verdict.
We have decided to cry to the Oba of Benin and to the state government. You can see the trace they made here.
In a joint appeal, leaders from both Iyekeze and Agbomoba communities have called on His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, to intervene in the matter and ensure that justice is served in line with Benin traditional laws and customs.
They don't want to obey what the Oba of Benin is saying. They are always claiming that they belong to Iyoba, that Iyoba is the one that owns it.
Reacting via telephone, the Okayele of Igwomo community said that the land belongs to Igwomo community and that there was never a time that Igwomo trespassed into the land of Iyekeze and Agbomoba.
Where we carry bulldozer for work, it be like my papa backyard, not even to their side.
The communities expressed confidence that the intervention of the Oba of Benin, known for his commitment to peace and justice, will help restore calm and prevent further escalation of the crisis. Ikmomosa Ugiagbe, ITV News.
Dozens of persons are feared dead, while about 40 others sustained varying degrees of injury in a tragic tanker explosion that occurred on Tuesday in Niger State. The incident happened around 11 a.m. at Eson and Badegi communities along the Bida Agaye Road in Kacha local government area of the state. According to witnesses, the victims were scooping fuel from a falling tanker when the vehicle suddenly exploded, setting off a massive fire that engulfed several people. Many victims were said to have been burnt beyond recognition, while the injured were evacuated to nearby hospitals for treatment. Confirming the incident, the chairman of the Niger State Tanker Drivers Association and national ex-official of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, Comrade Farouk Kawo, described the tragedy as devastating and avoidable, stating that the ill-fated tanker was conveying petroleum products from Lagos to the northern part of the country when it crashed. The governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has been conferred with a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Nigeria Union of Teachers, Edo State Wing, in recognition of his exceptional reforms and commitment to repositioning the state's education sector. The award was presented to the governor during a council visit by the leadership of the NUT, led by its state chairman, Comrade Bernard Ajobiawe, in company with the acting chairman, Nigeria Labour Congress, Edo State Chapter, Comrade Bernard German Egwakide. Government House correspondent Kingsley Uchegbu leads us there.
The Lifetime Achievement Award conferred on Governor Okpebholo follows his exceptional reforms and commitment to repositioning the state's education sector. Governor Okpebholo expressed his appreciation to Edo teachers for their diligence and patriotism in shaping the future of the state. He reaffirmed his administration's commitment to education as the cornerstone of human development, just as he announced the state government's plans to recruit additional 3,000 teachers to strengthen teaching capacity and improve learning outcomes across public public schools. The governor assured of continued collaboration with labor unions to sustain industrial harmony and drive collective progress.
Instead of talking about Edo Best, let us talk about school access program first. Let's give children a good atmosphere where they can learn. We are going to employ more teachers. The next phase now, we are going to employ 3,000 teachers. As we are building, as we are renovating, war without teacher is useless.
Chairman NUT Edo State, Comrade Bernard Ajobewe, commended the governor for regularizing the employment of over 5,000 Edo State teachers who were contract staff for over 3 years under the previous administration. Acting Chairman NLC Edo State, Comrade Bernard Joman Egwahide, also commended the governor's people-oriented leadership and promised the union's continued support for his administration.
We have less than 6,000 teachers in Edo, primary school teachers. A school without teacher, there is no school. That is what it means. Oga, we thank you. I adopt my cap for you. So it is for that singular reason we said we must be here to identify with you, to show our commitment and solidarity to you.
What you are doing for us now, I don't think that this thank you alone is enough for us to say it. I want to say on behalf of the worker, we are grateful, very, very, very proud of you, and we will show you the love you've been showing us.
Kingsley Uchebu, ITV News.
Edo lawmakers has passed a law to re-establish the Edo State Customary Court of Appeal. Assembly correspondent Joy Obaisiagbon has details.
During plenary session on Tuesday, a bill aimed at repealing the Edo State Customary Court of Appeal Law of 2015 was deliberated on by the lawmakers. The bill skipped through second and third readings, marking a major milestone in the legislative process.
A bill for a law to repeal the Customary Court of Appeal Law 25 and enact a law to re-establish the Customary Court of Appeal Edo State and for other matters is being passed to law. Three copies of this bill be forwarded to His Excellency, the Distinguished Senator Monday Open for his assent.
The newly enacted law was cited as the Edo State Customary Court of Appeal Law 2025, comprising 8 parts, an interpretation page, and a commencement date. From Benin, Joy Obaisiagbon, ITV News.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities has suspended a 2-week warning strike that began on October 13, 2025. The strike, which was set to expire next Monday, was suspended following renewed commitment from the federal government and the National Assembly to address the union's demands. ASU President Professor Chris Piwuna made the announcement at a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, citing recent interventions and engagements with the Yaya Ahmed-led committee and the Deputy Senate President as the reasons for suspending the action before its scheduled end. However, the lecturers urged the government to take advantage of the 1-month suspension window to meet their demands, which include the review of the 2009 ASU federal government agreement, payment of outstanding salaries and earned allowances, and disbursement of the University Revitalization Fund, among others. ASU also warned that the union would resume the industrial action without prior notice if no concrete steps are taken within the next 1 month. And that's it on the news round for this time. Thanks for watching. I am Philip Omo Gyukmon. Do join me on the World News at noon. Good morning.
a video of Wike trending on social media where he says, if you are supporting Asiwaju, I'm going to support you anywhere you are. If you know you have not changed your mind, you better change your mind, because very soon there will be a political, very soon it's going to get tricky. It is Asiwaju all the way. Wike is saying that if you're not supporting Asiwaju, you need to change your mind, because very soon it is going to be Asiwaju all the way. And it's got a lot of people talking, different reaction. And you know how social media is. You know, a lot of persons have mixed feelings, different reactions from different persons. But before we go to the reaction, take a look at the video.
FCT. And we have changed the narrative. We have shamed the opposition. We have shamed the opposition. Tribus administration has changed the narratives in that city. Tell the opposition to come and see that FCT is working.
Interesting. If you're not supporting Asiwaju, you need to start supporting him. That is from Wike. All right, let's take a look at people's reaction. Georgia says, fixing Nigeria is not the problem. It is the opposition they are worried about in 2025, that Nigeria is supposed to be a mega nation. This is what we are talking about. This product of Nigerian University. God help us all. Interesting. Let's take a look at another reaction. Reaction from Musa Adams says, Wike's statement signals a strategic alignment shift, emphasizing loyalty, political survival, and anticipation of Asiwaju's expanding national dominance. All right, that's a reaction from Musa. We're still on CMI Socials. Let's take a look at the next story. All right, there's a trending video of a police officer, you know, Nigerian police officers fired at a car tire outside along Asaba in Delta State, and it has got a lot of people saying that, you know, at this point, because I think it tried stopping the car, but the car did not stop on time, so he had to fire at the car tire. And some persons are saying it is wrong, you know. Some persons are saying that even before he fired, that the car already stopped, that he isn't supposed to fire, and it has got a lot of people talking. Let's take a look at the video.
The small thing. Yeah.
Is that proper? Is it proper? All right, let's look at people's reaction about this particular story. Green Pasture says, if you check that officer, you will discover he's intoxicated. And now, this kind of officer, if them see bandits, even before they reach location, go drop their AK-47 and remove uniform, take off like birds to the sky, running for their lives. His action is abnormal. He should be investigated. All right, let's take a look at another reaction. Laugh and Learn says, but the car had already stopped before the police officer fired. These officers really need to train carefully. They tend to overdo things. Interesting. Let's take a look at another reaction. Mind Game says, now why them they fear camera? Any police way see you with camera and him harass you, check him well. Him gets something to hide. Interesting. Okay, that is for that. We're still on CMI Socials, talking about trending updates, making waves across social media. The next story we would be talking about is about the fire incident that happened in Alaba Market a few days ago. Somebody tweeted says, while we slept last night, fire gutted Alaba International Market in Lagos State, destroying goods worth millions belonging to Ndibo. Interesting. You know, fire incidents is always occurring. Few months back, we saw the one that occurred at Mandela's on the island, Lagos State here too. And today, we are seeing this particular one occurred 2 days ago at Alaba Market. I mean, these are people's goods, people's sweat, people's property, you know, going down just like that. It is very sad to see, you know, waking up one morning and coming to the market to sell and saw that your shop has been gutted by fire. It is very, very sad. I mean, these are people's sweat. All right, take a look at the video before we'll go to the reactions. So sad, really, really sad. I mean, that is a whole lot. People's goals, people's investment, people's sweat, waking up to see that your shop caught fire. It's really, really sad. And this is always occurring. You know, what is the cause of the fire? You know, there's always safety precautions. You're living there. I'm not trying to like blame anybody. You know, anything can happen at any time. We just need to be, you know, be careful. You know, leaving the office, try to switch off your appliances and all of that. You're leaving the market, your office, or your shop. Try to switch off the appliances. Fire can come in waves. I really got this really sad, and it got a lot of reactions. Let's take a look at people's reaction about the story. Bonatech Global says this is heartbreaking. Any government that derives pleasure in burning and destroying people's businesses and investment is heartless, oppressive, and has lost the sense of humanity. We don't know if it's the government actually did this. Okay, let's take a look at another reaction. This other person says, I don't know what to make of this anymore. The hatred of Indigo are having it too easy. From every negative event, there is always a positive side to it. The positive side of this negativity will be told aloud and untouchable. All right, that is for that. Let's take a look at another reaction from CB. CB says, listen, it is not about burning a particular tribe businesses in Lagos. When they are out of jobs and hunger kicks in, can you sleep peacefully at night knowing that you're victim? A hungry and angry man fits come find you. Fits come find what to eat in your house at midnight. Interesting. Okay, that is for that. I mean, this is actually not funny. I pity those people. You get, like I said earlier, it is their investment and it is their sweat. And I pray everything gets better. And I pray that the government looks into it, because fire incidents keeps occurring in different markets, different, you know. I saw one that happened in Oba Market, I think a few months back, and it's not a good thing at all. It is really, really sad. All right, this is all we've got for you on TMI Socials this beautiful morning. Thank you for watching TMI from our Benin Network Studio, from Lagos Network Studio, and also from Abuja Network Studio. I am Mercelina. Thank you so much for watching. Do stay safe out there.